Do you want a better understanding of American politics and to see through the American political theater and propaganda that you have been fed your entire life? Then this video is for you. All right, so before I start, I just want to mention that I have a line here that represents the political spectrum, but instead of going horizontally left to right, I'm just going to rotate it 90 degrees so that it's going vertically up and down instead. All right, so let's start with the American political theater that we have all been taught and we all know and love, right? You have this story of two sides. On one side of the political spectrum, you have conservatives who are represented by the Republican Party. And on the opposite side of the political spectrum, you have liberals who are represented by the Democratic Party. And also liberals, what you might hear them called or referred to is also as leftists, which for the purpose of the American political theater, these two are the same thing. Now, this video isn't going to go into the difference between conservative and liberals because that doesn't matter. What's important to understand is what is this dividing line, right? What is separating conservatives from liberals? In our theater, it is arbitrary. It doesn't have any set definition of what is the defining factor of separating this side from this side. In reality, however, in politics, there is a dividing line, okay? And what separates the two sides of the political spectrum is your support for capitalism or socialism, right? So on one side of the political spectrum, you support capitalism or private ownership of the means of production. And in particular, you're not just supporting capitalism. In particular, you're supporting policies and writing policies for a group of people, a class known as the capital owning class or capitalists. And capitalists build their wealth off of owning assets. They do not have to work for a living. They generate all their wealth through owning things. On the opposite side of the political spectrum, you have support for socialism, which socialism is collective ownership of the means of production, and socialism focuses on giving rights collectively to the class of people known as the working class, which the working class is the class of people who generates their wealth through their own personal labor, through their blood, sweat, and tears is how they build wealth. So the majority of the political landscape really does fall under: are you writing policies that helps enrich the capital owning class, or are you writing policies that helps enrich the working class? And when you follow that narrative of those two sides, this no longer makes any sense because the Republican Party and the Democratic Party are both neoliberal capitalist parties. They both are pro-capitalism. Neither of them support socialism or the working class. So in reality, it is more like this, where you have both of them on the same side of the political spectrum. And down here, you don't have any political representation. And to top it off, the American media loves to conflate leftists with the word liberal so that you believe they're the same thing, so that you're zoomed in like this and you don't even know that this side of the political spectrum exists. However, leftists are completely different than liberals. In fact, liberals and conservatives have more politically in common with one another than liberals do with leftists. Leftists go down here in support of socialism and helping the working class. And what do you notice? You notice that this side of the spectrum has no political representation. And you have to understand that the average American citizen, over 95% of people, probably even closer to 99% of people, fall under working class. And you would benefit as a working class person with politicians that are representing you and your class interests. On the flip side, if you are part of the capital owning class, you have all of the political representation. It doesn't matter who's in office for you. You're going to get people who are representing and writing laws to help you enrich your own class. And when you understand the relationship between these two classes, to make a long story very short, in a nutshell, this class builds their wealth off of our backs, off of the backs of the working class. We subsidize the lives of them. And the more money they can take and exploit from you, the richer they become, right? So these two classes are at odds with one another because the more money you get to keep from your labor, the less money the capitalists get. So to sum up my video, our political landscape, you have 1% of the people who have 99 to 100% of the political representation, while 99% of the country doesn't have anybody on their side. And if you don't believe me, just look at the material conditions of the working class versus capitalists over the past 50, 60, 70 years. No matter which one of these parties is in office, I guarantee you, you look at this class, at the end of the day, they get richer and our material conditions get worse and worse and worse. And we get poorer and poorer and poorer as they siphon more and more and more out of us because it is never enough for them. And before I get the people who are like, how dare you say these two parties are the same? They're fundamentally different. Yes, they are fundamentally different. But why? They're different for the sole reason of getting us divided, right? Because it doesn't matter which one of these wins. They win no matter what. Whether Republicans or Democrats are in office, these ones win. And we lose. Ultimately, we're going to get poorer. Our rights are going to be taken away. Over time, these guys will never push this way because they lose money this way. They only ever are going to gently keep going this way and this way and this way, enriching their class over the years so that they get to basically live like gods on the planet while our class gets poorer and poorer. And I want to end with, what can you do to help? You can help by spreading awareness of this relationship between capitalists and working class and understanding fundamentally how this class exploits and siphons money out of this class, and help spreading that knowledge to other working class people so that we can unite. Because one of the main narratives that they tell us in the political theater is that the average person doesn't have any power. You feel powerless. You aren't powerless. The working class, we have the numbers and we do all of the labor. What we don't have is organization. We are so disorganized. We are so divided. So if you can help bring class solidarity, that is what's going to ultimately help. Let go of these ones. Let them go. Okay? Stop even giving them any of your attention. They're never going to help you. Help working class people understand this relationship, because with organization, or with awareness, comes organization. And with organization, we will gain power.